vana vangu vese ndivaisa kuchikoro nemari yemagitari, madhokutas, maengineers nemari yemagitari. The man that I'm going to talk about today is one person who contributed a lot to the Zimbabwe music industry. He's somebody who groomed a lot of artists. He's somebody who helped a lot of artists. He's somebody who inspired some of the greatest artists to come out of Zimbabwe. I'm happy that one artist he helped came back and thanked him publicly on national TV, and that was Oliver Mtukudzi in 2006, as a way of thanking him for the way he contributed to his music journey. And the man that I'm talking about today is none other than Zexie Manatsa. His wife was a real music historian. She knew all the dates, and every time Mr. Manatsa had an interview, he made sure that his wife was sitting next to him, because she remembered the dates more than him. And besides knowing her husband's history, she knew the general Zimbabwe music history. You would ask her about anything, and she will give you all the information. Contract 1976 contract. Baba Zexie Manatsa was born on the 1st of January 1944, so he was his parents' New Year present in 1944. So in 1957, he made a homemade tin guitar. So after a short time, a nightclub owner who owned a nightclub in Chinoi, he was named Mjakachi. He heard about them and he approached them. Then he offered to buy them instruments so that they could play at his nightclub. And he also approached their school and spoke to the school head and asked for permission to work with the boys during the holidays. So it was Zexie Manatsa, his young brother Stanley, and another guitarist by the name of Sia Gwaja, who was the rhythm guitarist. So that's when they started playing at a Chinoi nightclub. But at Chinoi nightclub, they faced difficulties because the owner refused to pay them. So what they decided to do was to move to Bulawayo. Before they moved to Bulawayo, what they did is they confiscated instruments. Dara Zex was a bass player, so he took the bass. Stanley was the lead guitarist, Stanley Manatsa, and he took the lead guitar. This is not a guitar. Stanley was the lead. The bass. So they moved to Bulawayo, Stanley and Zex, and they started staying with relatives in Bulawayo. And one day as they were walking past Jairus Jiri Center, they heard some music playing and they were curious and they went there and they met a gentleman who asked them to play for him. It was like an audition. He was very impressed with their playing. He organized a meeting between Zex and Stanley with Jairus Jiri, who was running the Jairus Jiri Center. It was a center for disabled people. Jairus Jiri was the first person to have a center for disabled people. So he then sat down with them and he wanted to form a band for the center to help raise some money. So Zexie Manatsa, Stanley Manatsa, and Fanyana Dube were recruited and they formed the first Jairus Jiri Sunrise Kwela Kings.
Izinini na Stanley na Fanyana Dube ndisi vatatu takatangisa group yepa Jairus Jiri Sunrise Kwela Kings.
So they stayed with the Jairus Jiri band for some time, but then they started having disagreements because they were complaining that their equipment was now very old and Jairus Jiri was not keen to buy a new set. So they sat down with him amicably and left the band after they had met a businessman by the name of Homela. If you know Gibson Homela, it's Gibson Homela's father. So Mr. Homela bought them some instruments and they started working for Mr. Homela. So they strengthened their band by recruiting some female singers who were called the Sakaza sisters, who were the backing singers and dancers as well. That time, the most popular music that time was called Smanje Manje, which was from South Africa, and they were doing a lot of covers of that type of music. So that time they were not writing songs yet. So working with Homela was okay in the sense that he gave them accommodation, but paid them very, very low salaries. So Manatsa was advised by one of his relatives to go to school and train as a salesman so that he can work as a salesman and supplement his income. He got a job at Lebina Biscuits in Bulawayo. So during the week, he'll be working at Lebina Biscuits as a salesman, and during weekends he was playing at Happy Valley Hotel with his band. His first recording was recorded in 1974 by Mr. Webster Shamu. He was once a radio DJ as well as a music producer. So he was the very first person to record Zexie Manatsa, a song called Chitimandita. But the problem was that as soon as the record was released, Mr. Webster Shamu joined the liberation struggle. So as a result, there was no one to push the song, so the song just died a natural death. And another thing also happened, they were playing at a club called Jamaica Inn, and just before Webster Shamu went to the Liberation War, he came to their show, and before they played, he gave some political statements that were very strong, and he left and disappeared. That night is the night he went to the liberation struggle, according to Mrs. Stella Manatsa. And as soon as the authorities heard that Webster Shamu made some statements, they came and arrested Mr. Manatsa. So he was put in prison for some time. So in this Gallo, a South African record label, was looking for artists to record from Zimbabwe. They sent a man by the name of West Mkosi. He was a saxophone player and he was their music producer and consultant, so he was scouting for talent in Zimbabwe. Then he heard that Zexie Manatsa was playing at Jamaica Inn along Mutare Road, and he approached them 4 times and Zexie Manatsa was refusing.
Best thing was in 1974, Jamaica Inn. Akatoya unge maweekends 3-4. Achinyengetedza vachiramba manje.
Ndichiramba chindobirwa maraka. Ndakati singadi. Vanhu vainditi vanhu kusauta vanopa mani. Havambokupakana chi.
So after they recorded the song Chipochirorwa, it was a massive, massive hit. That song was recorded in 1974 and it was released in 1975. And so after signing Zexie Manatsa to Gallo, West Mkosi also organized for them to be paid for Chitimandita Kure, and he was paid $75. So that time recording was not easy.
Maiti mukapinda kuseni na 8 munobuda usiku na 12 mangwana na 8 maamufu. Kudala recording yairwadza zvokuti saka
muri 6 mwakakaze bro tuzokura kuti agone chete.
Drama akapotsa kupinda mese muri kudzokorora. Lead guitarist akapotsa waya mose muri kudzokorora. Ari kuimba kana zve zvatoita mazuva kuti voice rako razodai angobhenga voice rake rikaita zviri makuto chake.
So after the success of Chipochirorwa, Zexie Manatsa also introduced Oliver Mtukudzi, Martin Glove and the Sage Brothers, Jordan Chataika, Susan Mapfumo to West Mkosi, and he also started recording them. And a lot of artists were inspired to also start recording after the success of Chipochirorwa, artists like Thomas Mapfumo, Leonard Dembo and other artists. So Baba Manatsa always had 1 or 2 or 3 songs where he sang in the Malawian language, Chichewa. And he also had some satirical songs where he made fun of the Mapostori sect. It's one of our homegrown white garment churches. So I asked him about the Chichewa songs.
Teacher wangu ngari Malawi. Mumaini, mangura imaini. Vanhu vazhinji 95% vaMalawians.
Uye mumafamu, waigara pafamu, mabawashenda pafamu.
Zvisisira, pavana chiMalawi kandikada kuchitaura kana kuchinzwa. Ndingafaniki muMalawi. Mazona. Pane nguva ndikandidaidzwa kuti mwana wokumusha uya uri zikuno nakamuzibhanda. Ndandidzi kuuya mwana uyu ndokumusha. Parekodhi kuti ina amai mandida. Mandidera chiyani. Kupedza ndarama ndiribe. Zokwera sitima ziko la Malawi. Ziko lopanda mabhangi ipapa.
Tuka akanga ane record yake 1. Saka akanga ane contract 1976 yesa akanga ane contract kwa Mtango. Wife. Saka pa yakapera contract yake ndopa akauya manje 77. Akatoya mna January. South Africa akati ndodawo kuridzana nemukoma 6. Andina ma instruments. Saka wakabva wangu mtu uyane kukupe yako batoya. Saka wakatoshanda naye 77, 78, 79. Vazoregeza nomwana 79 akunopera 8. Nana 8 before Leonard Dembo ndi Susan Mapfumo. Makatoteerera song inoti ndoza hii. Ndoza hii. Kana ka verse kachikazi zikati ndoza hii. Ndoza hii.
Zara ndiyakaruma.
But mazwacho yakasina group yake aikuitwa zvekuita marketing visa zvekuti munongomuridzirawo masongs ake naJordan Chatai aita kuti the same aingoridzirwawo masongs ake naNgwaru Mapundu nawamanyeruka wamasongs awo ekutotanga akawanda mukatoyateerera ane music ane instrument yegreen. Vanhu vazhinji vesawo vaiuya nenyaya yekuti vanenge vasina mainstrument. Munongobva mazoti kana makuisa posta mubva mangonyora posta renyu rinenge rakanyorwa vanhu vesewa munenge makarangana mapercentages emari. Saka pamunongosvika kune uchingo MC anenge achingotara kuti kukauya Susan Mapfumo kozouya Jordan Chatai kakouya Oliver Mtukudzi kozouya Mukoma Zexie.
They met in 1972, fell in love, but it was not that easy, according to Mdara Manatsa himself. So I'll let him explain what he told me.
I remember still msikana hivi. Ngazomtengera kongora na biscuits.
So their wedding was on the 25th of August 1979.
Vanhu vaibhadhara dhora kumcha. Takatopinda tichitamba step ine ambuya ndoenda kuAfrica vanodya vareni. Kana teenage kupo akaimba Sylvia hande kumagubo. Fenzi ikadona. Vanhu kukatokuwara vanhu 2 vakatozomhanyiswa naambulance kugumo.
I heard that Bishop Abel Muzorewa had a rally and that rally flopped because Zexie Manatsa had a wedding. That's how big Zexie Manatsa was. And Rufaro Stadium was filled to the brim. And everybody was paying $1 to come in. Remember that Zimbabwean dollar was worth twice the British pound. And artists like Thomas Mapfumo, Teenage Kupo, Martin Love and the Sage Brothers and so forth played at the wedding as well. So it was a huge wedding. I think it could be the only wedding where people were charged money to enter here in Zimbabwe. I don't remember any other wedding. If there's any, you can let me know in the comment section. But that's the only wedding that I know that people were charged to enter. So of course, later on they had 6 children. Wakawanda boys. Then in 1984, yeah, that's when they started witnessing some tragedies. Because that time he had an accident which damaged his instruments. And also it's the period of time that many of his band members started passing away. So it really slowed him down, but he kept pushing.
Yeah, haipapo karegreti karipo chechi hakuswe kushanda kudai tisina kuenda kunoshanda asi dai takaenda kunonamata chechi kana tafunga kuimba kuchechi toimba kushumira Mwari asi tichidzokera kubasa redu. Saka music yanobva.
Yeah, but as they spoke, there's one part that really touched me when my Manatsa talked about how musicians are not respected in Zimbabwe. And I've always said it so many times.
Kana pane vanhu vanotarisirwa pasi nanhasi musicians. Even takunamata Mwari, muimbi amene pamwe wachazonoremekedzwa kudenga naMwari mbuna akawasika asi pasi pezuva musicians haanyanyi.
My Manatsa also had some advice for musicians.
Musician kuchechi hakuswe kushanda, kuchechi enda unonamata, enda kubasa wonoimba, wouya kuchechi wonamata Mwari. Kana wada kuridza uchibva kubasa uko uchiuya kuchechi kunoimba, kana wada kuridza kuti samusician wongonyatsokushumira nemwoyo wako wese nokuti ukaridza because ndo paunoraramira pamusic. Saka ukaridza wakatarisira kuti kuchechi wachakupa mari yavako, they don't give you money, vanoti Mwari akukomborera. Ini ndakarorwa nemari yemagitari, mari yachipochirorwa namwana waenda ndo yakatorongedzwa musha kuipa.
One day razi wedhi rekuti zvinoti vanhu vabvise wedhi kuti hanzi zvepasi pano zvepanyika ichiri pano.
In August 2021, Baba Manatsa revealed on his Facebook page that he had been diagnosed with cancer and he started receiving treatment. But unfortunately, on the 20th of January 2022, Baba Zexie Manatsa passed away. And it was a widely publicized funeral. I was there. I gave some speeches.
Amen.
That is the way you treat musicians.
But there's something that happens with couples that are very close, couples that are very much in love, couples that have spent so much time together. Usually, if one passes away, the other follows within a short space of time. And this is exactly what happened with the Manatsa family, because after Mdara Zex passed away on the 20th of January, the wife also followed on the 30th of August, the same year.
Chishuo changu kuti vemagitare vaone madzimai akaita mai Manatsa. Ndo chishuo changu kunyeberi tendeni. Anditore mkumba wangu hanzi mai Manatsa wakafa vasina kubata zangata, mwana wacho akubata zangata.
So that's why my story ends. Zexie Manatsa is somebody who really contributed a lot to the Zimbabwe music industry, and I'm encouraging videographers and documentary writers and producers to do more documentaries. Even on Mr. Manatsa's life, it's good to have different versions, because there's no documentary that will cover everything. So I'm signing out.